Good morning, students. Welcome to our class, Biological Science. Dear students, up to now we discussed different types of life process. In the first lesson we discussed nutrition, the life process. Second one respiration. Third one transportation. Fourth one excretion. After that coordination, the linking system. Okay. Now we are going to discuss another important life process. One of the important life process. In plants and animals, the reproduction is the process, the life process, which is useful for continuation of their life. So here in this section we are going to discuss about the reproduction. Okay. In plants and animals, the life process reproduction is useful for continuation of their life by producing the new offspring. So reproduction means producing next generation. Okay. Reproduction is producing the next generations. All the organisms are capable giving rise to offspring. All organisms. Okay, they have the capable to give rise to offspring. That means babies. All the organisms are capable to giving rise to offspring. Okay, by the process reproduction. Organisms reproduces differently in different situations. The process or the mode of reproduction is not similar in all organisms. Okay, so it is different in some microorganisms. It differs in the plants. Within the plants also, it has different types of methods. In humans, we have sexual reproduction. Fishes, okay, different types of organisms. In your 8th class, you have already discussed about reproduction. Okay, external fertilization, internal fertilization, sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction. We have all discussed about that. In this section, we are going to discuss about the reproduction in the briefly manner. Okay, all organisms are capable of giving rise to offspring by the process reproduction. Okay, for continuation of their race. The main purpose of the reproduction is continuation of their race. Reproduction not only occurs among the organisms, within the human body also or the animal body also it occurs. Reproduction. Whenever the muscles or the other cells, when they are born out, when they are died, the new cells are formed. Red blood cells. After the death of their 120 days, the new blood cells again they are reproduced. White blood cells reproduced. Platelets reproduced. Like that, everything is reproducing that occurs in our body. So, what has happened here? Different organisms reproduces differently in different situations. For example, the microorganism like paramecium. So paramecium, we know it's a slipper shape. So during the favorable conditions, one paramecium can give rise to more of its own kind. Okay, during the favorable conditions, one paramecium can divide and produce the offsprings which are more likely to eat. Okay. So, favorable conditions, one paramecium can give rise to more of its own kind by splitting or dividing into two or more. During the unfavorable conditions, two paramecium come in contact. During the unfavorable conditions, two paramecium come in contact and they exchange their certain materials and produce the babies which are more tolerant. So tolerant means the most capable one, the more capable one which can face the situations, abnormal situations or unfavorable conditions that present around it. Tolerant one, okay, more powerful one. So organisms reproduces differently in different situations. Do you understand? during the favorable conditions, the single paramecium can divide into two or more and produce more of its own kind like itself. During unfavorable conditions, two paramecium come in contact and exchange their materials and produce the offsprings more tolerant. Tolerant means the most capable one, most powerful one. It can face any problem that present around it. Do you understand? Not only this, the reproduction, the time required for reproduction also varies from one organism to another organism. The climatical conditions also, even within the organism, the climatical conditions also would make the faster of reproduction. Do you understand? So, dear students, we all know very well the making of curd from the lukewarm milk. Okay, now what is responsible for that? The lactobacillus bacteria. The lactobacillus bacteria is responsible for making of curd from the lukewarm milk. For this, we are going to perform one small activity here. Take a bowl, add 1 teaspoon of curd to 30 teaspoon of lukewarm milk. Do you understand? So, take a bowl and add 1 teaspoonful of curd to it, which contains the 30 teaspoons full of lukewarm milk, and keep the lid on it. And take another bowl, add 1 teaspoon of curd to the 30 teaspoons of cold milk, and cover it with lid. After a few hours, notice that one among the two bowls, which one turns into curd? The first one turns into curd. Here we notice that the curdlings develops very faster. Curdlings develops very faster. That means that the bacteria colony grows very rapidly. Okay, that means the climatical conditions here, the lukewarm, the bacteria develops only in the lukewarm, not in the cold milk. Do you understand that? Okay, now we are going to discuss about the reproduction, the mode of reproduction. What is the reproduction? Reproduction is the process of giving rise to offsprings. Reproduction is the process of giving rise to offsprings. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the modes of reproduction. Okay. So before going to the modes of reproduction, dear students, in the previous activity, the curdlings develops very fast in that particular climatical conditions. You may also wonder about to see the swarm of insects. Swarms. Follow your textbook. Swarms means here the group of insects. So, by seeing the group of insects which appears in the only rainy season, for example, dragonflies. Nowadays it is very common to us. In other days we can't see that group of insects, the swarm of insects. It appears only in this season. Suddenly they appear to us because the lifespan of these animals is very short, from days to the months only, from days to months. During that particular lifespan, during that particular climatical conditions only, it develops more of its own kind by the process of reproduction. Okay, up to now we discussed about the reproduction. There are two types of reproduction. One is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Okay, the mode of reproduction where the two parents, two or more organisms are involved in the sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, single parent involves. Formation of gametes takes place here. Formation of gametes not takes place here. Because here formation of gametes takes place. Here, fission of gametes takes place. Fission of gametes takes place. Here, there is no formation of gametes. Like that, no fission occurs. No fission occurs. Okay? In the mode of reproduction, say there are two types, sexual and asexual reproduction. So, the sexual reproduction, two or more organisms are involved. Here, a single organism involves. The single organism have the capable to reproduce more of its own kind. Here, formation of gametes takes place. Formation of gametes takes place. Here, there is no formation of gametes. Here, fission of gametes takes place. Gametes mean sperms and ovaries, the eggs released by this male and female organisms. Dear students, in this section we are going to discuss about the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the mode of reproduction where there is a single parent involved, involvement of a single parent, and there is no fission of gametes. Do you understand? Okay, asexual reproduction is the mode of reproduction where the involvement of a single parent and there is no fission of the gametes. We have different types of examples for this asexual mode of reproduction. We can see this type of reproduction mostly in the microorganisms. Okay, now I am going to explain one by one. The first one is asexual reproduction we are discussing to now. The first one is fission. Okay, fission. In asexual organisms where involvement of a single parent and there is no fission of gametes. The first example is fission. In single cellular organisms like paramecium and bacteria. Paramecium and bacteria. Amoeba also example is there. So in single cellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium are bacteria. Okay, the single organism have the ability to give rise to more of its own kind by simply splitting into two or more. You understand? In single cellular organisms like bacteria and paramecium have the ability to reproduce by splitting into two or more. This generally occurs or it usually occurs in a symmetrical manner. What is that manner? Symmetrical manner. That means equal manner. The two parts are divided equally. Okay. In single cellular organisms like paramecium and bacteria, we can see the fission. These organisms can split or divide into two or more. The fission, this is fission. This usually occurs in a bilaterally symmetrical manner. Bilaterally symmetrical manner. Okay. This usually occurs in a symmetrical manner. Okay. So generally when the paramecium or bacteria divide by the fission, that is into two, that is binary fission. Or if the organism divide into more offsprings, that is multivision. Multivision. So dear students, this is about fission. Okay, don't confuse about it. Follow your textbooks. In single cellular organisms like paramecium and bacteria give rise to offsprings by splitting into two or more. This usually occurs in a symmetrical manner. In this section, it transfers or it divides by the two. It is called binary fission. That means if the organism divide into two, that is binary fission, or the organism divide into more pieces, that is multi-fission. So, example is paramecium and bacteria and amoeba also. The next one is budding. Okay, budding. Budding, we can see this type of reproduction, this type of asexual reproduction in the hydra and yeast also. A growth on the body as a bud. In your 8th class, you have already seen this one. A growth on the body as a bird, and it that grows and forms an identical copy of the parent. It separates itself from the parent and continues its life as an individual. Okay, a growth on the body as a bird, when the bird that grows to form nearly an identical copy of the parent, then it cuts itself from the parent and it leads its life as an individual. Example, Hydra and yeast. Okay, so this is budding. Do you understand? Budding. A growth on the body as a bird. For example, in the yeast you can see like this in the textbook. A growth on the body as a bird that grows to form nearly an identical copy to the parent. It is an exact copy of its parent. When it cuts itself, when it totally develops, it cuts itself from the parent and continues its life as an individual. Example, Hydra and yeast. Okay, here fission. These organisms can split into two or more. Usually occurs in a bilateral symmetrical manner. When this transverse occurs and the organism divided into two, that is binary fission. If the organism divided into more of its organisms, that is multivision. And another one is budding. A growth on the body as a bud that grows nearly to form an identical copy to the parent. When it totally develops, it cuts itself from the parent and leads its life as an individual. Next, the third one is fragmentation. So in the fragmentation, some organisms can grow from any part of the parent organism, any piece of the parent organism. Do you understand? Some organisms can grow from any piece of the parent organism. The fragment can be from the any part of the body. This is often the mode of reproduction that we can see in the algae, fungi, and some in land plants. Do you understand? Fragments means small pieces. So algae, fungi, land plants. Some land plants. Not all, some. So these are the examples of fragmentation. Do you understand fragmentation? Some organisms can grow from any part of the parent or any piece of the parent organism. The fragment can be any part of the parent. So it is the only mode of reproduction that we can see in the algae, fungi, and some land plants. Dear students, another important one is parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis. Nowadays we are able to develop the seedless fruits like watermelon and grapes. How does this happen? Because of the parthenogenesis, a type of asexual reproduction. Okay, we are able to develop the seedless fruits like watermelons and grapes because of this parthenogenesis. Usually or actually the parthenogenesis occurs in the nature. Okay, parthenogenesis occurs where the shift of the sexual reproduction to asexual mode of reproduction. Do you understand? So these organisms perform the sexual reproduction sometimes and may be reproduced by the asexually sometimes. Okay, the parthenogenesis occurs in the nature. It occurs in the nature also. In this process, the organisms reproduces sexually and sometimes reproduces asexually. So humans identify this type of reproduction. They utilize this process to develop the organisms or to grow the organisms with more desirable characters. Do you understand? So we utilize this process of reproduction and we develop or we grow the organisms with our choice which are more suitable for us. Okay, so in this process, the unfertilized egg, the unfertilized ovum develops into zygote. Okay, unfertilized, not fertilized one. We all are aware by fertilization of sperm plus ovum forms zygote. Here, in the bacteriogenesis process, the unfertilized ovum, that means the unfertilized egg, develops into the zygote. Once again, I am explaining about this parthenogenesis. We are able to develop the seedless fruits like watermelons and grapes nowadays because of this parthenogenesis process, which is a reproduction from sexual to the asexual reproduction. The shift of reproduction from sexual to asexual mode of reproduction. This occurs in the nature. So the organisms which perform this type of reproduction, they reproduce sexually and sometimes reproduce asexually. Because of that, we utilize this idea of reproduction to develop the organisms or that grow the organisms with our choice of more suitable characters. In this process, the unfertilized ovum develops into the zygote. We can see this type of parthenogenesis in the animals like ants, bees, and wasps. Okay, we can see this type of reproduction in the animals like ants, bees, and wasps, which animals performs sexually and sometimes asexually. In this process, the unfertilized egg develops into the male one. Because of that, the male ones only do not have the seeds. Yes or no? Yes, male ones. The unfertilized one develops into the male one. So the process of development of unfertilized egg into the zygote is called parthenogenesis. That is the explanation for this. Okay. Sentence. The process of development of unfertilized egg into the zygote. Okay. Development of unfertilized egg into the zygote is called parthenogenesis. In this meiotic division and ovum developed by meiotic division. And another important mode of reproduction is there here, that is regeneration. The regeneration process is similar to the fragmentation. Some organisms have the ability to reproduce their offsprings from any part of their body. And unfortunately, the organisms have breakdown or cut down into small pieces. It leads its life as an individual. Example, tapeworm. It is similar to the fragmentation. Do you understand regeneration? The organisms have the ability to reproduce their offspring from any part of the body. So, when the parent organism unfortunately cut or broken into pieces, it leads its life as an individually. Okay. So, dear student, this is the mode of asexual reproduction we can see in the organism. What is asexual reproduction? First of all, what is reproduction? The process of living beings giving rise to its own offsprings. Giving rise to offsprings. Do you understand? The process of living beings produce its offsprings. It is called reproduction. Here, two types of reproduction, sexual and asexual. We discussed about the asexual reproduction here. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction where the involvement of a single parent and there is no formation of gametes and fission of gametes. There are different types of asexual reproduction. Fission. Some organisms produce their offsprings by split into two or more. If you split into two, that is binary fission. If it split into more, that is multivision. Budding. A growth on the body as a bud that grows to forms nearly an identical copy to the parent. When it cuts itself from the parent, it leads its life as an individual. Okay, so this one is fragmentation. Okay, some organisms can produce from the any part of the parent one. They continue its life as an algae, fungi and plant forms. Pathologens, the process of development of the young ones from unfertilized egg. Development of the zygote from unfertilized egg is called pathologenesis. It is useful for formation of the seedless fruits and regeneration, tapeworms. Okay? So this is about asexual mode of reproduction. In the next section we will see the natural propagation in the plants. Okay, thank you.